Welcome back to Civilnet. I'm your host, Patrick Elliott. I'm delighted to be joined by, at this point, returning guest, Kev Orkian from the UK.
Yeah, definitely returning.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Glad to be here, my brother. Glad to be here.
So what brings you back to Armenia? Tell us.
It's the motherland, son. It's the motherland. No, I'm just joking. I come back because I love Armenia anyway. But that's not the real reason. The real reason I've come back here is not because of my love of Armenia. It's because of the important work that we need to do it for Armenia. So I've actually come here to actually work with Gyumri, to go there tomorrow and to start really kind of doing a information documentary, getting the knowledge out there around the world to see what's going on, and also to help some of the displaced families that have been moved from Artsakh into Gyumri to give them some surprise news about their new homes.
That sounds beautiful, actually.
Well, it's let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope. If we can't look out for each other, then what's the point? What's the point of being a human being?
What's your take on the current situation? I'm not asking for a political response. I'm just saying, as a diasporan who's not always here, you've got one foot here, one foot out. It's interesting to me that you kind of parachuted over here and you're positive, you're smiling, you're happy, and you're like, all right, let's get to work, right? What's fueling this approach?
You know what? No one's talking about what's going on here. Now, there's no media, there's no radio, there's no coverage. There's nothing about what's happening in Armenia, in Artsakh, in Tavush, in Azerbaijan, in Turkey. None of this is being spoken about. It's very, very quiet. It's very quiet in Europe, in England, and I don't know what's happening in America. But I mean, in America they're talking, but England, there's nothing happening. The UK have shut everything down. So the only way we're getting the information is through social media. That's it. So thanks to the likes of Instagram and Facebook and X, which is the old Twitter and everything, that's where we're getting our information from. And there's so much hate on that platform, on all those platforms. And you kind of say to yourself, when is it all going to end? When is enough going to be enough? When is the suffering of Armenians and the suffering of all nations? When is it going to stop? When is the people in power, are they going to back down and go, you know what, enough's enough? These people deserve to live their lives in peace. And that's why I'm here and I'm there, and I'm constantly talking about it because I think there's no one else talking about it, and we need to. Well, there is people talking about it, but we need to talk about it.
But what fuels this this kind of let's do it, let's get to work type attitude? Is it a work ethic thing, or are you hopeful? What's kind of behind all of this?
It's a bit of everything, but actually deep down I think it runs in my blood to be patriotic towards the people that I love. I'm an Armenian. I'm proud to be an Armenian. I was born and raised in England, but I'm an Armenian. That's it. I'm an Armenian. My mum and dad are Armenian. They were born, my mum was born in Sivas, my dad in Istanbul. They're both brought up in Turkey because of the war. They moved there, and that's where they grew up. So I don't have a hate for any nation. I really don't. I have a hate for individuals when it comes to their mindset. But I don't. Hate is a really harsh word, actually. But it is all about the fact that actually, can we educate these people to move forward in this world? Because I have a fear. I don't fear anything, but I have a fear that if we don't do something right now, then I fear that we could be, unfortunately, heading towards the dodo type kind of scenario of being extinct if we don't do something about this. And the powers to be are really not thinking about that, I don't think. And that's why I think we need a new set of mindset, a new set of people kind of coming together and going, enough's enough. Like what we're doing here, you and I right now, it's the new generation of people kind of talking and going, hold on a minute. I'm an Armenian. I'm proud to be who I am. What's the bag? What's happening? Are we going to be annihilated as a population, not in death, but through the fact that no one's going to be talking about us, and we're going to lose everything. So that's my fear, and that's why I keep coming back and I keep talking about it and I keep trying to support us.
I'll be a little bit contrarian, and I'll say that, in my very humble opinion, of course, I find that your attitude and your mindset of just showing up here, regardless of what you achieve or don't end up achieving, I think is much more beneficial to the Armenian nation as a whole than whatever it is that ends up happening. right?
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that, like, you know, we're both diasporans and we both grew up abroad. I'm of a mixed background.
Me too.
So there's a lot of questions around Armenianness, and what that means in this day and age. And it should be noted, we're recording this the day after the Armenian Genocide commemoration as well. And it brings up a lot of questions, right? And I just find, like, and I speak for no one but myself, but I'm tired of being a victim. I'm tired of the victim mindset. I'm tired of the woe is me. This place, you hear it over here, this place sucks, there's no future, we want to leave. And then the people abroad, they're like, oh yeah, Armenia's interesting. I donated to Հիմնադրամ, or I marched on April 24th. And then April 25th, you know, I was reflecting on this morning. I'm seeing all the photos around the world of people holding the torches, and they look serious, they look angry, and they have the t-shirts, and they demand, and they all change their Facebook profile pictures. And I wonder what they're doing today.
Do you know what, you put such an important point forward, because one of the most important things that I think as an Armenian we are is the fact that we have a rich history, we have a rich culture, we have so much, and individually we have created so much, we have invented so much, we have benefited humanity so much over the years. But what we hold on to is very different to what we are. And this to me is probably part of the internal extinction of where we're heading, because actually a Irish comedian actually by the name of John did this joke once, and it was so apt. He turned around and he said, do you know what? He said, every Armenian I've ever met has always said that they were the first Christians in the world. He said, isn't it funny? He said, if one day we were visited by aliens and they actually landed in Armenia, what would be the first thing Armenians would say? They would go, oh, welcome, welcome. We're the first Christians. and that is so important, because actually, is that all we have to hold on to right now? The genocide and our first Christianity? Yeah, totally no. Because there's so much more to us than just that. But I think the old mindset has been so powerful that it's not allowed us to move forward in any other way. And I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, we have to move on. Yesterday, of course, was the memorial, you know, and the remembrance. But today, you know, yeah, it is a different story. I know what you're saying. It is a different story. But what about next year? What about the year after? 110 years, 111, 112, 125, 130. It's a continuation. How do we move forward? Well, we move forward by letting the past be the past. We don't forget the past, and we can't change the past. Can we? No, we can't. But the mindset behind those old kind of ways is, no, people need to pay for what they've done. People need to pay for what they've done. Yes, of course they do. Of course they do. But we don't do that by going, this is what you did. Say sorry. Do this, that. No, it's moving forward in a more peaceful, more individualized, a more educated way, where we can turn around and say to each other, you did this. This was wrong. We need to learn from our mistakes. We need to understand what you did to Armenians was wrong. But we need to move forward, because we are stronger. We have risen through the ashes of destruction to create beauty around the world. We are great people. Can we move forward in what we are doing now, not what we did 100 years ago or 109? There's
a French movie from the 2000s. It's called Un Voyage en Arménie. And, you know, there's this whole thing. It's this French Armenian woman who visits Armenia, and, you know, she meets the fighters from Karabakh. She meets the oligarchs. You know, the murders, the clan warfare, the chaos that Armenia was in the late 90s, right?
Yeah.
And her driver at the very end pulls over by the highway, and there's Ararat, you know, in big. And he's looking at it, and he starts to tear up. And he explains to her at the very end that he goes like, I mean, I'll be paraphrasing because I saw the movie like more than a decade ago. But he was essentially saying, he's like, we don't want to browbeat the Turks into recognition. We want them to acknowledge the genocide because they want to acknowledge it, because they recognize that murdering entire races of people is wrong, and that they didn't do it, their great-grandparents did, and that they don't have to bear that burden. And I think it's interesting to note, I mean, again, I'm not speaking for anybody, but you know the Einstein saying, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, the definition of insanity. I
mentioned that today. I mentioned it just today.
It's like you have to give them an out, we have to find a way, because they're not packing up and going to Mongolia anytime soon, as far as I know, and I don't see that many Armenians making 10 children, which means that we're not going to catch up population wise. So I find that we have to find some kind of way. We have to figure something out. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been reflecting. I don't have like a clear thesis.
No,
right?
Listen, I don't either. But let's take a scenario, and this is possibly the most political I'll probably get, is the fact that you take something like the World War One and the Nazis and their whole kind of mindset in conquering the whole of Europe, and that included Turkey, that included a number of other countries. And today there is 5 million Turks living in Germany, and there is more business being run by Turks than there are being run by Germans. I mean, Turkish people basically have conquered the entire Uber business in Germany. You cannot go anywhere without Turks now. Yeah. Now, good on them for doing that. Good on them for moving to a country and building their own opportunities and whatever. And we can't individualize the whole nation because of some certain people. We have to allow people to have their own lives, to live forward, to move forward with it. But what we do as a mindset is we want to move forward with our lives, but we seem to be magnetically hooked to the past in such a way that if we even say to my mum and dad, my mum's in her 70s, my dad's an 80-year-old man. If I turn around and say to my parents, yeah, but what happened in the genocide, it happened, we need to find new ways to move forward. Just that comment alone would basically force my parents to turn around and say, don't come back and see us again. Just leave me for now. Just go away, because you're obviously not brought up the right way. You need to go and think about it. And it's that kind of mindset that I think we don't want to disrespect our elders, which is why we're still holding. Right?
Their parents were closer to it, which
of course they were.
Entirely.
Of course they were.
Like, I think we can honor the past without being tethered to it.
We can honor it, but we shouldn't be stuck to it.
Yep. Tell me, what brings you hope when you come here? What are some elements that you look at and you go, all right, there's a future here. This is cool.
You know what brings me hope is the people. It always has been. Forget the buildings. Forget everything else. Forget the religion. Forget the lot. I mean, there's more atheists coming up in the world than any other. Religion has been a massive reason why there's been a big divide in this world. Not just with Armenians. I'm talking with every culture. But it's the people. I go to America because of the people. I go to Canada because of the people. I come here because of the people. I see beauty within people themselves, and I think if we tarnish the same brush with everyone, then we as an individual are actually probably the naive, idiot, uneducated person that's tarring everyone with the same kind of mindset. And I think mindset, I think manifestation, I think positive thinking, these things have always changed a country, have changed the leaderships, and have made places better to live at. And I truly believe if we change the leadership, if we change the mindset, we add a positive element to our thoughts, and we start moving forward with what we can accomplish as a nation, then I think there is a possibility of even having 10 children with the new generation of people. That's not happening at the moment, but I have a positive mindset on the people here. I think people here, and diasporans, you said it and I didn't stumble upon it. I just want to go back on it. I think it is our bound duty to come here and to share what we have from our country in Armenia.
Well, 70% of diasporans have never set foot here.
Never. And actually, that's a question we should ask. Why? What is it? Why go to Barbados? Why go to Turkey? Let's be honest with you, and go to Bodrum or go to Antalya and go to a beautiful place where the sun, sea, sand, and everything's there. Why not? Why not take your money, invest it into Armenia, and come and actually see your country for a change? Come and see the churches. Come and see the beauty. Come and see the waterfalls and all that.
Come and taste our wines.
Come and taste the wines. Come and smoke the cigars. Come and do whatever you want. Just do it here. Do it here.
Yeah. I don't have an answer. It's an interesting thing to look at. Is where's the disconnect? But when you're here, what sort of mindset would you like to see? Forward thinking imparted here.
Forward thinking. That's all I want to see. I want to see forward thinking. I want to see, you know, what's happening around the world happening here. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a number of organizations, which I won't mention, who are making massive waves around the world, and they're innovative businesses that started here. Okay, so they're making massive waves around the world. We've got talent, we've got artists, we've got photographers, we've got singers, we've got so much here that are here. But if we put them out to the world and say, look what we've got, see them, do tours, support it, come back, and then build the ambassadors into this country, I think I'd like to see us move forward with our new thinking. It's got to be a new positive way of thinking. And I think the old ways, the Russian mentality, I think has to be dropped if we are to move forward. And that doesn't mean not, you know, not kind of interacting with Russia or this or that. Whatever.
No,
nothing
as
to
a
do with
Westerner, it makes perfect sense. Right?
Yeah,
for
it's all about the
West,
mindset. It is the mindset.
You can feel the difference when you get here. Is that there's almost this kind of like barrier, and it's like a way of thinking that's just kind of
totally. And it is a way of thinking. I mean, we're innovative. There's a you know, I'll give you a prime example. We've got a new restaurant opened in not in Armenia, in England, and it's a great restaurant, and many Armenians have been to it, and it is an Armenian restaurant. It's actually advertised as an Armenian restaurant. And there's not one Armenian dish on the menu. It's all Lebanese and Persian. So you kind of think to yourself, okay, so we're an Armenian. This restaurant's Armenian. The signage, everything's Armenian. You walk in and the decor's Armenian. But you sit down and you eat Lebanese food. So where are we going wrong here, guys? What's happening? Did we not find a chef from Armenia or even my mum to go and just give you some menus on what to do? This is where we're kind of lacking and going, let's get to a certain level, but let's just leave it there and let's not go further. It's about pushing it all the way.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Because it's funny. You see this here too. Like there's kind of this joke amongst the IT community that, you know, like in Israel, they'll create the first run of the app, right? The minimum viable product. They'll get users, then they'll get feedback and they'll improve it. Here, they'll make the minimum viable product and then they simply won't touch it. If you ever, this is my challenge to you, try to order groceries using the app in Armenia. Just order like a napkin just for fun. Switch to English and then type what you're looking for. You can't. Because no one thought that in other languages the product names changes, and since it's different alphabets, you're going to have to adapt it or so. You cannot use the search function for any grocery store, whether that's Carrefour, Yerevan City.
Is it fair?
I just find that there's this kind of like, man, this is good enough attitude.
Is it good enough? I don't think that is. I think it's fear. I think we have inside us, we have this fear that if we get to a certain level, we are being disrespectful or we're being disloyal to our religion, our faith. I think there's a big thing there. I think if we start to change that mindset, I think that will open up a lot of doors for us. I really do. And I think the other aspect of our what's the word I'm looking for? Our weakness is a good word, actually, is the fact that as an individual, I think Armenians are the greatest people on the planet. I've said this and I'll say it over and over again. Individually, we have been blessed, by the way, through DNA, we have been blessed to have some of the most innovative minds that have ever existed on this planet, ever. Yet, you put 10 innovative Armenians into one room and it suddenly becomes the most stupidest mindset on the planet. And that is where I think, me personally, we're going wrong. Because I think everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants their say. And no one sits back and goes, let's do it as a team. I think we miss that within our culture. I think that's our weakness. Unity is our weakness. We have to get together and we have to show a new way of uniting, which doesn't mean I'm better than you and you're not better than me, and attitude. It's about uniting for the common goal. That's where we need to change our mindset.
Tell us about your documentary. Is there going to be some of that mindset kind of imbued into it?
Absolutely. I've got a third one coming out, which is the next 50 years. And that to me is actually probably my scariest documentary. It will be, because Armenia Uncovered was all about the history, the culture, the fashion, the food, everything. So we kind of told the world what Armenia was about. Ararat Uncovered was all about the history, where we had the places we had, the countries we the cities and towns we had that disappeared and it went under different rule, and the fact that Mount Ararat, which is the holy mountain of Armenia, suddenly became part of Turkey and everything else. So we spoke about it and we climbed Mount Ararat. We did that documentary. This third one is the next 50 years. And that to me is my biggest fear, because I'll be interviewing very big people in the world who are philanthropists, who are Pulitzer Prize winners, who are government officials. And I'm going to ask them, where do you see Armenia in 50 years? And I don't really know the full answer to that myself. I wish I did.
What gave you that idea?
The idea came simply because of the current mindset of where we are. And I know many diaspora Armenians around the world who will introduce themselves, who are Armenian, but will introduce themselves as Americans or Canadians or British or French. And you say, but hold on, aren't you Armenian? Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I'm Armenian as well. And that's the bit that has put a lot of fear in me, because that as well attitude is not where we should be. We should be, oh, I'm a British Armenian, or I'm an Armenian Brit, or we need to tell people who we are. We're a very, very unique culture. There's not a lot of us, and what there is of us seems to be making quite a bit of noise around the world. There's a few of us that are making some massive noise around the world. But for some reason, even they, the big wigs I'm talking, and I won't mention who they are, but the big wigs are actually ashamed to announce that they're Armenian. And it just seems like Armenian, the word Armenian, seems to be quite cancerous to certain people around the world, where, you know, you can say to someone, who are you? Oh, I'm a famous blah, 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 or I'm a famous that. And they're this and that. Okay, so you're Armenian. Yeah, but why did you change your name? Why did you, well, I had to because it was difficult to pronounce and this and that, whatever. Okay, right, well, okay. And there's always an excuse for being Armenian. There's always an excuse. So what is it within us? Because everything starts from us. It doesn't start from other people. Other people can turn around and say, oh, we don't like Armenians. We think they're terrorists. We think they're criminals. We think that, yeah, whatever. Your opinion is your opinion. That's fine. But within our culture, if we raise us as a culture, then other cultures will begin to respect us. And I think it starts from within, always starts from within.
What's that saying? The best way to predict the future is to create it?
Yep. What is it? If you can conceive and you can believe, then you can achieve.
What projects are you doing in Armenia for Artsakh refugees, if you're able to talk about it?
I can, yeah. We're basically helping. We're driving up to Gyumri tomorrow. We're helping around 55 displaced families. We're giving them hope. We're giving them homes. And we're doing it through the Armenia Fund, which has had massive backlash over the years through different people and whatnot, and we just want to say, it is working, it is doing what it's meant to be doing, and unfortunately, due to individuals, again, it has had bad publicity. So I'm coming in saying I wouldn't put my name or my reputation or anything to an organization unless I was on the front line and I was showing people exactly what was going on, and that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm trying.
Kev, thanks so much for hopping on.
Man, it's been a pleasure. Do you know what? I think people have to take a leaf out of your book. You picked up your family and you came here. You live here. Why? We're not asking people to come and live here. I mean, that would be great. But we're not asking people to pick up their families and come here and leave everything behind.
I mean, I made my family here, to be fair. But,
yeah, sure. But you picked up and you came here. So what we're asking people to do is just pick yourselves up, come here and have a holiday for 2 weeks. Come and see the culture, come and see the place, come and see the history, come and see the people. Be part of the bloodline.
Well, I'll add one thing that to me, I find it such an odd conversation, because when, like I've had friends who go back to California, and in California, like, oh, is there food in Armenia? Is there internet? Like, they
No.
They genuinely believe that the sky is falling, and It's so interesting to me. It's like, especially with the cost of living everywhere, with how just outrageous. I mean, if anyone's following Canada, it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
you can't pay me to move back there. I mean, I have my pediatrician's WhatsApp. Like, I can text her at midnight and she'll give me an answer if, God forbid, there's something wrong with my kid. And there have been many times where I've needed it. You know, we have private healthcare where you show up at the clinic. In Canada, that's unheard of. You block off 48 hours minimum. You show up at the clinic if your appointment's at 11:30. 11:30, you're seeing the doctor and you're coming up. You're from the UK, so you can imagine with NHS, it's probably the same thing.
My friend,
yeah.
We have people dying in corridors when they've been left there for 3 days.
Canada's pretty much up there. I mean, I pay 5% tax, so I get to enjoy more of what I earn, and then I could travel if I want to, but so far we're pretty happy here. We'll leave when we need to. We just bought a beautiful house, thank God. I mean, we have a fantastic standard of living. When I'm opening up, you know, Kirsch Extra Brut Champagne, which was on the Forbes top 10 list or so on, do I care that it's not Moët Chandon or something? No, it's a fantastic local, you know. So, and I was telling my mom this actually. I was like, I go to hang out on Lake Sevan. You know, do I miss, like, you know, the Dominican Republic or something, or Cuba in the summers? Yeah, sometimes you're in there, but point is, like, we have such an incredible standard of living here if you're a Westerner. And again, like, people say, well, if you're a Westerner, yeah, well, here's the fun part. All that money that I spend, I'm directly employing the winemaker. I'm directly employing the farmer who's gathering the grapes.
Absolutely.
I'm directly employing the hotelier. I'm employing the busboy who has the tips. And so, I mean, I'm absolutely proud that I'm living comfortably here. I'm living in the lap of luxury over here, and I'm contributing to the economy rather than posting on Facebook once every so often talking about, you know, nationalism and so on, but on the other side of the world. So it's just like,
I think that's amazing.
Like, just come and see it.
Yeah,
and you'll fall in love on your own. I don't need, you know what I mean? Like, this is the part that irks me.
Absolutely. Like, become ambassadors of your own country.
I'm not a hero for, like, it's not like a wow.
But it is.
It's such a great, no, it's objectively a great place to live.
No, it is, yes, but it is a wow, because there's a lot of people out there who just don't know what Armenia is, and they're Armenian.
Just be selfish. It's simple. Just be selfish. Come here as a selfish, but not as an Armenian. Come and be selfish, and you'll fall in love with it on your own. You're like, oh, okay, I get to enjoy this food. I get to enjoy this wine. I get to enjoy this cognac. I get to have a house. I get to this, that. Yeah, great, man. Enjoy. I mean, just be selfish, but you're helping Armenia by doing that. So
totally,
that's been my mindset. Kev, thanks so much for hopping on.
Pleasure, my brother. Always.
Yeah. Thanks again for watching. This has been Pat from Civilnet, and hope you guys enjoyed this clip.